Hello, orchestra teachers. Welcome to the Bass Player's Guide to the Galaxy, setting up your beginner bass player. I'm John Heinz, and with the help of my, trusty double bass, we'll get started on beginner bass setup. If you are looking for a particular resource, the timestamps are provided here. So let's talk about posture and setup with the bass, both sitting and standing. Regardless of standing or sitting, we'd like for the nut of the bass to be the same height as your eyebrow, with the bass leaning into your body as such. I tell my students that this back corner of the bass should go in the pocket of your left pants leg, or shorts, or imaginary pocket if they're not wearing it. Bass comes into your body. Again, we're checking the eyebrow height. Our feet are about shoulder width apart with the left leg slightly forward, so the left leg helps support. And our test is to see if we can hold the bass without our hands, or close enough to it. Sitting posture is pretty similar. We're at the edge of our stool. The nut is at the height of our eyebrow. The same corner goes in the pocket of our pants with our left thigh helping to support the back of the bass. We keep our right leg exposed. We don't want to sit like a cellist where both legs are involved holding the instrument. So we have one leg free. If possible, keep both feet on the ground to help with hip alignment for your student. Now, you may have different heights of stools and different heights of students that may require them to put a foot up on a rung, and that's okay if need be. But if possible, have both feet on the ground. Dr. Anna Jensen of University of Puget Sound also has a great measuring tool in that if your knuckles can reach the bridge, you'll have all the access you need for different bowing lanes when it comes time to use the bow. So there you have it. Set up sitting and standing with the double bass. All right, pizzicato time. Setting up our right hand to make sounds with our fingers. We make a backwards L. The thumb goes on the edge of the fingerboard, about 4 to 6 inches from the end of it, and we pluck our string, letting our finger catch onto the next one to let it rest. We don't want to pull up and away from the string. We lose stability that way in sound production because of how big the strings are. Now, your students may have some pretty tender fingers at first. I also advocate using 2 fingers, double the string pull and double the punch, having more finger mass hitting the strings. This is also important when, there we go. When it comes to holding the bow, thumb comes out, backwards L, and that way we can pluck while still holding the bow. You can also use 2 fingers. The middle finger tends to be longer than the pointer finger, so you can also help students with reach. The same idea goes with, wait for it, the German bow. Same idea applies here. We hang the bow down, pointer and thumb come out, and we pluck the strings accordingly, letting that finger catch onto the next string. That way it doesn't run away. This adds some grounding and some stability to our right hand when we pluck. Now, your student may also be doing jazz band as well. So in that case, we use the edge of our finger, more flesh to get more sound, since they don't really have to worry about using a bow in jazz band to allow for more sound. So tip of finger or edge of finger for orchestra, edge of finger primarily for jazz. All right, left hand shape, pressing our fingers down onto the fingerboard. So we only get 2 half steps worth of material here. So I use first finger, second finger, and I combine third and fourth to make a big fat mega finger to help support the pinky. So 1, 2, and 4. There's a half step between 1 and 2, a half step between 2 and 4, with third finger there to support. The thumb lives behind the middle finger, not behind the pointer finger, and not up here by the fourth finger, and we don't want to wrap our thumb around the neck. We want to keep it hidden from the orchestra teacher. I tell my students, make a hand shape like you're holding a can of your favorite soda or canned beverage, and we set down our fingers as such. Our elbows don't droop down and touch the bass. They don't sit up too high because that engages our shoulder muscles unnecessarily. We want to hang from the fingerboard. I sometimes tell my students to keep the archery idea going, that it's almost like drawing a bow and arrow. So we want to pull the string in towards us and in towards the neck to have that good squeeze. All right, y'all, here comes bow hold time. We'll start with the French bow. This is the one I primarily teach in my classroom. So to set this up, we start with the bow in our left hand, held close to the winding. And we're going to droop our fingers over on the right hand like we're swinging from the monkey bars at the playground. Boom. I have my students count down 1, 2, 3, slap. And we do it again. 1, 2, 3, slap. Mm-hmm. Pinky covers the frog's eye. Middle touches metal. Thank you, Tommy Hawthorne, for that one. Pointer wraps around the pillow. And your thumb goes on the tip of the frog's nose with a nice thumb bump. No thumb wrinkles. We have a nice neutral hand shape with a straight line from the top of our hand all the way to our elbow. We want to keep our arm relaxed. I tell my students we don't want any bones in our arm and let our natural arm weight work through this. This is a great exercise to do in pairs to allow students to help each other find that neutral weight in their arm and let it droop down. So again, fingers cover their certain aspects, straight arm. A great test for this too is to balance a can of rosin on the top of their hand and make sure that they have a straight line going down their arm. We don't want droopy arms or droopy wrists down like that. That engages our muscles unnecessarily. And there you have it. Pinky covers the frog's eye, middle touches metal, pointer on the pillow, thumb on the on the tip of the frog's nose. All right, the German bow. The German bow. Same setup here. We're going to start with the bow in our left hand, held on the stick, around the grip. We're going to shape our right hand like we're going to shake someone's hand. Corner of the thumb meets the corner of the frog. So we say corner to corner. They lock in like Lincoln Logs or Legos. Do that one more time. Nice. Thumb goes on top with nail pointing down the stick. Pointer and middle finger are the buddy system and they live on the edge of the stick. Ring finger floats, it doesn't wrap around the frog. And the pinky goes on the ferrule, under the bow. And we want a nice tall thumb there to allow for flexibility. We want to hang our weight by our thumb. A great trick for this too is to have your student hang from the lip of their music stand so they can feel their natural arm weight hang off of something. So to review one more time, hold it by the stick, corner to corner, thumb on top, pointer and middle work as a team, ring finger floats, pinky on the ferrule, no bones in the arm, and we hang by the thumb to keep it nice and relaxed. We can do the zombie hand as well and check for that nice neutral hand shape and that arm weight. And we can also do the rosin test with the German bow. Womp womp. Now, you may find that even with all these strategies and techniques, that your student is still struggling to hold the bow. They are pretty heavy after all. So we do have some accommodations for these. We'll do these primarily with French bow. So one option is to have their hand get scoot up a little higher if it's too heavy. We can call that the Baroque bow hold style. This works for other instruments as well in the string family. Same kind of bow hold applies here, although you gotta be a little careful with touching the bow hair. Another option is if their thumb is particularly sensitive to that squeeze, you can have them hold it by the ferrule. Again, these are all temporary fixes to get them more comfortable as they start. But the same finger placement applies here, and we still want a thumb bump from our thumb, whether it's on the tip of the frog's nose or on the ferrule. Now the last option is a cello bow. Yes, if the bow is still too heavy, you can swap out the bass bow for a cello bow to use on the bass. Now, you need to have a designated cello bow that the pops rosin or whatever bass rosin you use goes on, so we don't have interchanging cello bows and rosin going on the wrong instruments. So, I actually teach French bow primarily, and when none of those techniques really apply is when I actually have them switch over to the German bow. All right, let's take a look at some bow exercises and games that I like to use in my classroom. First one is fairly straightforward. We tap our individual fingers, pinky, middle, and pointer to ensure that we are staying as relaxed as possible while holding this big bow. Same idea here for the German bow. We tap our pinky, tap, 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 tap. We tap our middle finger, tap, 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 tap. And we tap our pointer finger, tap, 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 tap. We can check all of our fingers with a nice little spider crawl there. All right, this exercise, we start with the teacup, and we stir the teacup. Then we stir the bowl of soup. And then we move up to a big pot of soup that can feed the entire orchestra. We're looking for a straight bow from floor to ceiling, an opening and closing of the elbow, and a nice, neutral, relaxed shoulder. The same idea works for the German bow, but we orient our bow a little different. We point it down to the ground, and we stir besides the teacup and the bowl of soup and the whole pot of soup. The shoulder will engage, it's only natural, but we're looking for a really active elbow opening and closing so our students can become more and more familiar with all the joints that are required to move the bow. All right, here goes my favorite exercise, the rocket ship. If we're not careful as an orchestra, our rocket ship could land in the ocean or it could crash into the field beside the launch pad. We want to keep a nice tall vertical bow, so we need to engage our elbow and our wrist. I like to tell my students it's almost like having a puppet string pulling on your wrist up to the ceiling and down to the floor. A great exercise for a homework assignment is to balance a lifesaver candy on the tip of the bow. The hard candies, not the soft ones, that's cheating. And when your student hits the target number of rocket ships to do for the day, they can have themselves a lifesaver as a reward. The same exercise works out just fine for the German bow, as long as we, oh, hold on, wait, if we could, John, come on, all your teacher friends are watching you. Oh, get the lifesaver on the tip of the bow, they think you're an idiot. Oh, there we go. Good. Kind of an underhand serve sort of motion here for our rocket ships with German bow. We open and close our elbow. Our final game that we like to do in our class is the bow relay race. So we take a solo cup or any sort of party cup, we put it on the tip of a bow, and we pass it around the room from one bow tip to the next. The teacher's job is to keep the stopwatch running to see how fast they can relay the cup around the room from one student to the next, while also checking in on bow holds. I like to add a time penalty of a few seconds if I see bad bow holds. If the cup hits the ground, that's also a time penalty. Now let's apply everything we've worked on so far with the bow onto the string. So here we have our monkey bars with the French bow, checking our looseness, no bones in the arm. We set bow on D string, and we pull. Notice the opening and closing of the elbow and the action of the wrist, just like our rocket ships, to keep the bow straight on the string. We can do a quick finger check in here, tap our pinky, tap our middle finger, tap our pointer finger to make sure we're staying relaxed and our muscles are remaining neutral and our natural arm weight is producing the sound. For German bow, same idea. Hold bow in the left hand, corner to corner, thumb on top, add our fingers. We hang from the bow by our thumb, no bones in the arm, set bow on D string, and pull. Open and close the elbow and the wrist, keeping things relaxed. You can do a finger check in here, tap the pointer, tap the middle finger, tap the pinky finger. Hey, thanks so much everybody for watching this video or segments of the video to help out your young bass player in your school program. If you have any questions about any of the material or strategies that I implement or anything you saw in this video, please feel free to reach out to me at this email address right here. And if you're looking for any more bass-focused resources, check out some of the resources provided here. These are all fabulous educators. These are experts in their field, and a lot of my inspiration and strategies have come from these great educators as well. So, happy bass playing, and we'll see you really soon.